What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If. If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my third channel, so if you want some more what ifs, go check out my other channels. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Appearing in a crimson flash, Naruto instantly summoned the humanized forms of his blades along with a squad of 12 shadow clones before rushing towards the bridge and the sounds of a desperate battle. Although he was sure that he could handle a few hired thugs on his own, years of training under the unmerciful hand of a demon lord had taught him to always err on the side of caution. Besides, regardless of his own skills, there was still the safety of both his teammates and the client to consider. And he was not about to jeopardize their well-being for the sake of his pride. Tazuna clutched a bloodied pickaxe as he breathed heavily and watched the horde of mercenaries slowly surround himself and his remaining protector. Since Gato had first ordered his men to attack, the battle had been little more than a brawl between the two sides, with Kurenai and Tazuna only lasting as long as they had, thanks mostly to a few previously prepared explosive kunai and the Leaf Jonen's superior training. However, despite their early success at holding off Gato's men, both Kurenai and Tazuna knew that unless help arrived, it would only be a matter of time before they were overwhelmed by the enemy's larger numbers. Tazuna-san, I fear that I have failed in my mission to properly protect you, and before the end, I humbly ask your forgiveness. Kurenai huffed as she viscously killed another pair of thugs. You have nothing to apologize for, you've done your best, and that's Tazuna began before he was suddenly silenced by a sharp blow to the back of the head. Tazuna-san, Kurenai screamed as she quickly turned and cut down the old man's attackers, only to be rewarded with a deep slash across her back. Ignoring the pain, Kurenai quickly stabbed her last two remaining explosive kunai into the closest of Gato's men before scooping up the unconscious bridge builder in a last-ditch effort to escape the mercenaries just as the explosives went off, covering the bridge, splattering of flesh and blood. Cleaver bitch. But you're only delaying the inevitable. There's nowhere you can run or hide that I won't find you and the old man. But hey, I'm a reasonable guy, so I'll make you a deal. Surrender the old man, and I promise that after my men have their fun, you'll be well compensated and free to go on your way. Gato bargained as a smile that would make Orochimaru tremble graced his lips. I would die first, the ruby-eyed Jonin replied as she struggled to get herself and her charge to safety before the dust from the explosion cleared. Oh well, I suppose that just means that my men will have to make sure to kill you after they've had their fun. The pudgy businessman laughed as his eyes met Kurenai's through the quickly dissipating haze of dust and debris. Seeing no means of escape, Kurenai gently laid Tazuna down before moving in front of him and drawing her final kunai from its pouch, fully prepared to defend the old man to the bitter end. Noble but meaningless, Gato snidely said as he watched his remaining men rush forward, intent on killing the bridge builder. Earth style. Earth flow spears, a voice yelled out, causing dozens of spike to shoot upward from the ground and skewered the first of the assailants intent on harming the genjutsu mistress. Surprised by the sudden reprieve, a slight smile crossed Kurenai's lips as she turned to see the face of her savior. Are you alright, sensei? Naruto asked as he noticed the deep gash running down her back as he approached the raven-haired woman's side. I've been better, but I think I'll live. I would rather not take the chance if it's all the same to you, returned the blonde as his eyes flashed for a moment and he called out, Healer, attend me. In an instant, a plum of bluish flames erupted and deposited a light blue five-tailed vulpine, who immediately bowed towards her summoner. My name is Natsumi. How may I serve you? Naruto-sama, the female fox humble asked. My comrades have been wounded. Please see to their injuries. Natsumi-chan, Naruto softly spoke while his eyes never left the remainder of Kurenai's attackers and the fat bastard that had set them loose on her in the first place. As you wish, my lord, Natsumi replied as she quickly created a clone of herself before beginning to heal both Tazuna and Kurenai, much to the surprise and awe of both. During the entirety of this exchange, Gato and his remaining men had watched, first in uncertainty about the new arrival and then in fascination about the creature he had summoned to assist him. So I take it that you're the one that killed Zabuza? Gato smugly asked. And I take it you're the piece of shit that been causing most of the problems around here, replied the blonde, causing Gato snarl at the insult. I don't think you understand who you're speaking to, boy. A word from me and I can make you life a living hell. But like I tried to explain to the woman over there, I'm not such a bad guy. All I want is Tazuna. Hand him over and you can name your price. As tempting as your offer may be, I have made it a policy never to strike deals with dead men, as they tend not to deliver on their end of the bargain. Naruto coldly replied, have it your own way, boy, but don't ever let it be said that I didn't try to be reasonable, Gato said as his men prepared to rush the blonde. If you wish to be reasonable, then. Naruto paused mid-sentence. Has an overwhelming sense of dread rushed over him. Saito Anri, remain with Kurenai sensei, secure the bridge and eliminate any that oppose you, but keep Gato alive. He has much to Answer for Naruto quickly ordered without allowing any time for rebuttal before vanishing, and a brilliant flash of crimson. Hinata twisted and turned as best she could in order to avoid the shower of Senbon being rained down upon her. From the moment the battle had begun, Haku had been relentless in pressing his advantage over the genin. Not that it was necessary in comparison to himself. The girl was weak, not worth the effort he was putting into the battle. Then again, the point of the battle was not to simply kill her. That would come much later. I want you to know that I'm sorry. I never wanted any of this to happen. Haku spoke with something likened to remorse in his voice even as he drove Hinata to her knees. I find that hard to believe considering where we are. If you truly do not wish this, then why continue down this path? Pantingly replied the Hyuga heir as Haku held his hand. As to consider how best to answer. Do you have anyone in your life that you would do anything for? Is there someone so special to you that you would face any hardship if you thought that by doing so would brighten their day? For a moment Haku asked as he casually looked down on Hinata from his ice mirror perch. Sabuza Momochi was my one precious person. I owe him everything. I have everything. I am everything I might ever become. He found me close to death and took mercy on me, trained me, and gave my life purpose. The debt I owe Sabuza-sama cannot be paid in gold, silver, or jewels. It is a debt that can only be paid in blood. I have watched your group these past weeks and I have learned much about you all, but the thing that I have learned that will allow me to begin repay my debt to my fallen master is this: of all Naruto-san's comrades you are the most precious in some way. For some reason you are different from the others. How so? I neither know nor care, but what I do know is that your loss will diminish him, and at the moment, that is all that matters to me, Haku said as his voice grew colder with each passing word. Then you are a fool as well as a coward. If you think that my death will weaken him, then go ahead and strike me down, but I promise you that before my blood grows cold you will learn firsthand how wrong you are, because if you are correct and his feelings for me are what you believe they are, then you have to know that if you do this you will suffer a fate 1,000 times worse than that of your master, replied Hinata, as she managed to stand once more, turning his masked face to the ground. Haku stepped from his mirror and paused as if to weigh the meaning behind Hinata's words and action that for a moment gave the future clan head the fleeting hope that she had in some way reached him. However, that moment proved to be all too short as Haku lifted his mask to reveal a face consumed by sorrow and regret. I do, he simply answered before drawing a kunai and slitting Hinata's throat. Pausing to observe his work, Haku felt a ping of remorse over what he had done before. The memory of his master being cut down quickly washed away any lingering sentiments of regret that he might have felt. Don't worry, Leaf-san, the pain will only last. The once masked boy began only to be suddenly silenced as a wave of malevolent chakra forced the very breath from his lungs. Desperately struggling to steady his breathing, Haku began to scan the area for the source of the chakra, only to quickly become aware of several additional signatures moving between himself and his fallen prey. Damn, Haku fearfully swore to himself as he pulled himself together enough to face whatever new threat that was approaching. Whoever you are, come out, I know you're there, he yelled into the woods. For several moments everything remained still until 7 large and oddly colored foxes emerged from the woods and moved towards the downed Hyuga, visibly relaxing. Haku chuckled at the absurdity of the situation, and the fact that a shinobi of his level had been frightened by a few foxes who, when he took a moment to think about it, had obviously been attracted by the scent of blood and wanted nothing more than an easy meal. That being the case, and seeing no reason not to allow them to have their way, Haku's smile broadened. Oh, if I could only see that bastard's face once he finds her mangled core, Haku whispered as visions of Naruto's agony over Hinata's loss filled his thoughts. However, as he watched, Haku realized that instead of tearing into the girl's flesh, 4 of the foxes had formed a line separating him from the girl, while the others circled her and began to emit a soft pale green glow that slowly covered Hinata's body. Healing chakra. Haku gaped as Hinata's slitted neck began to heal, confirming his suspicion. As amazing as what he was seeing was, the fox's interference was actively destroying his carefully sculpted plan, and that was something he simply would not allow. No, she has to die, Haku screamed, rushing forward to halt the fox's efforts, only for a pillar of flames to erupt from the ground and forced him to back away, hissing at the impediment. Haku cursed the woodland creatures with promises of certain death for their interference as the sudden burst of flames died away, revealing a small tunnish brown fox setting directly in his path. Considering the creature before him, Haku debated what he should do just as the newly arrived fox stood and bowed. My name is Kiriyoshi, and I have been sent by my master with a message, clearly spoke the small fox. Taken back by the fact that a fox was speaking to him, Haku took several steps away from the creature. What's the message? Haku nervously asked the messenger as a grin spread across Kiriyoshi's face that chilled him to the core. Ron laughed the messenger as he vanished in a burst of flames just as another wave of malevolent chakra washed over him. Unlike before, Haku could tell that whatever the source of the chakra was, it was directed solely at him. Looking to the group of foxes that had never stopped in their efforts to save the dying Hyuga, and realizing that he would have no chance against whoever had produced the chakra wave, Haku decided that the damage he had caused was more than enough for now. After all, regardless if she lived or died, his point would be made, and Naruto would feel the pain of having failed to protect his precious person. "Who is your master?" Haku asked as he replaced his mask. "My master name is Naruto Uzumaki," spoke one of the 4 fox protectors, causing the false hunter to unknowing take several steps back before fleeing into the woods. From the moment Haku had chosen to avenge Zabuza's death, he had known it would not be an easy endeavor. From the battle he had witnessed between his former masters and Naruto, Haku knew that the Leaf Shinobi was extremely strong. However, never had he imagined that a child could possibly produce the level of malevolent chakra that he had felt. Unfortunately, like the old saying goes, hindsight is 20/20, and now that he had felt firsthand a sample of Naruto's true power, he realized that his quest for revenge amounted to nothing more than a death wish. "Follow him, Minori-chan, and do not let him escape your sight," Naruto softly spoke as he knelt beside the now healed yet unconscious Hinata. "Shall I kill him, my lord?" "No, for now. Track him and do not let him from your sight. To simply kill him now would be too kind of a punishment. Before the day is done I will deal with him personally," coldly replied the vulpine heir by Naruto. Sama Minori returned, bowing to the blonde before dashing off in pursuit of her prey. Turning his attention to Hinata, Naruto allowed his eyes to land upon her resting form for a moment before saying, "Tell me, what is Hinata's condition?" "She is out of harm's way. Had we arrived any later and I could not say the same. The wound to her neck was deep and she lost a great deal of blood. We have repaired the damage to her body and used our chakra to speed up her body's production of blood. However, her chakra levels are very low, and with her already weakened condition we do not wish to risk forcing chakra into her system. For now the best thing that we can recommend for her is rest and to allow her body to recover at its own pace," replied a dull pinkish vulpine, feeling as though a great weight had been lifted off his chest. Naruto turned towards the group of healers and offered them a slight bow as he said, "Thank you for everything you have done for her. I am in your debt. There is no need for such gratitude, my lord. We were simply performing our sworn duty," quickly replied a purplish vulpine with surprise and nervousness in her voice. "Perhaps, but you have it all the same." Moved by their future leader's graciousness, the healers each in turn bowed to him before returning to the vulpine world. With the departure of his clansmen, Naruto carefully lifted Hinata into his arms and began a slow walk back to Kurenai and the others. "My son, you have done well this day and proven both your wisdom and nobility to our people through your actions. I could not be more proud of you," Kyubi proudly praised his adopted son. Looking down at the woman in his arms, Naruto smiled for a moment before he saddened at the thought of how Hinata and his fellow shinobi would see him once the truth of his heritage or was revealed to the world. "Thank you, father, but the day is not yet done and there is still much I have yet to accomplish. I can feel the sorrow in your heart, my son. Do not trouble yourself with concerns of how others may or may not view you in the future. None of us can control the circumstances of our birth, nor can we force others to see us in a positive light. All we can ever do is live our lives, prepare for the future the best we can, and travel the path that Kami has laid out before us. And if there are those that reject you for who you are, then they are bigots and fools who do not deserve your attentions in the first place. But whatever may come, regardless of how things turn out, always remember who you are, where you came from, and that you will always be loved." Kyubi solemnly spoke the words he knew his son needed to hear. Seeing the bridge come into view, Naruto gently shifted Hinata in his arms and continued forward, knowing that because of the actions he had and would be taking, many questions about both his abilities and loyalties would be asked. Natsumi had been watching the one that Naruto-sama had called Kurenai for nearly an hour, and it was obvious to the healer that the woman was highly stressed about something. "My healing you will have done you no good if you do not give your body a chance to relax and recover," cautioned the blue vulpine. "I can't help myself. My students are very precious to me and their well-being are my utmost concern. I know that the 2 that had been with your master are safe from what one of his clone has told me. However, I have heard nothing about the last one and I'm afraid that something terrible has happened to her, and because she means more to you than the others, you are more worried about her safety," questioned Natsumi. "Not at all. I care for them equally. It's only that Hinata and I have been together for a much longer time than the others." Kurenai, reason I understand now. Although she is your student, she is also a member of your pack, whereas you care for each of your charges the same. You cannot help but to favor this one over the others because of her closer connection to you," Natsumi replied, sure that she had gained an insight into the raven-haired woman's current emotional state. Wanting to argue with the vulpine about its conclusions, Kurenai raised her hand in objection, only to lower it again when she realized that the blue fox was correct. Despite how hard she tried not to favor one of her students over the others, she could not deny that for good or else she cared more about Hinata than she did The rest do not worry yourself, Kurenai-san. I am sure that my master will do everything within his power to ensure the safety of your charge. I know that he will, but it does not take away the anxiety that I feel at knowing," replied Kurenai, considering the woman before. For a moment Natsumi shook her head before quickly looking in the direction of the forest. Seeing the Vulpine's sudden reaction, Kurenai was instantly on alert. "What is it? Be at ease, human. My master returns," replied the Natsumi seconds before Naruto stepped from the tree line with Hinata in his arms. Releasing a breath she had not realized she had been holding, Kurenai watched as the blonde approached and gently placed the Hyuga heir at her side. "She will be alright, sensei. Her chakra is low, but it's nothing that a period of rest and recovery will not remedy," Naruto said with a small smile as he watched Kurenai check over the sleeping girl. Satisfied that Hinata appeared to have no visible life-threatening injuries, Kurenai looked to offer her young superior her thanks, only to realize that he had left her and was speaking with two that arrived with him earlier. "Natsumi-san, I have been wondering about something for some time now and was hoping that you might be able to help me understand," Kurenai softly spoke. "I cannot promise that I have or can give you an answer to your questions. However, if it is within my power and does not go against my master's will, then I shall answer," showing her understanding and gratitude. Kurenai paused for a moment as she considered exactly how to ask what she wished to know. "I know that Naruto is the one that summoned you to help Tazuna and myself, although that alone is something that will need to be addressed in the future. However, I would like to know who those other two are exactly. I saw them once before back in our home village and have since heard rumors from my fellow shinobi that they are somehow aligned with Senpai, but beyond that everything I have heard has been little more than speculation. I am sorry, Kurenai-san, but what you ask I will not answer. If you wish to know master's secrets, then he must be the one to tell you. As his loyal servant, I will not betray his trust," Natsumi simply replied as she turned and trotted over to where Naruto stood. "And that is all that has happened since your departure," Saito said, finishing his report. "Saito and Ri, thank you both for your efforts today. I'm not sure that things would have turned out so pleasantly had you not been with me. However, the day is not yet done, and there is still more I would ask of you," Naruto spoke before turning his attention to Gato and his remaining men. Bowing towards their master, the twins spoke as one and said, "We are yours to command." "Very well, Anri. I want you, Natsumi, and 6 clones to escort Tazuna, Kurenai, and Hinata back to his home. Once there, explain the situation to the others and watch over everyone until Saito and I join you. Saito, you will take charge of the remaining 6 clones and escort Gato to his headquarters. I will join up with you later after I take care of some unfinished business. If either of you encounter any trouble you cannot handle on your own, do not hesitate to summon support," spoke the Vulpine heir before he began to move back towards the tree line. Hearing his orders, Kurenai could not help but wonder what Naruto was planning and what business he could have that would take priority over the protection of his injured teammates and the mission's client Senpai. "After everything that has happened during this mission, I have no doubt of your ability and why Lord Hokage gave you the authority he did for this mission. However, I must ask, do you really think that this is the time that you should be pursuing some personal agenda?" Glancing over his shoulder towards the older Jonin, Naruto allowed a small smirk to cross his lips before beginning to move towards the tree line. "Kurenai-san, you are free to report any actions that I have taken during this mission that you felt were unwarranted once we return to the village. However, I would remind you that this is not my mission but yours. My orders, while in part direct me to assist you in its completion, do not limit me to that goal alone. Now that the threat has for the most part ended, I am free to pursue my mission's primary objectives." "And may I ask what those objectives are?" Kurenai asked as she was helped to her feet by one of the clones assigned to escort her and the others back to Tazuna's home. "No," Naruto replied just before he vanished back into the woods. "Do not worry about my master, Kurenai-san. He is far more than he appears to be," Anri said as a clone lifted Hinata into his arms and began to move towards the bridge builder's home. "Is that supposed to mean that he should just be blindly obeyed? I never said that. My master is well aware of all his responsibilities too, which I can assure you that if for a moment he believed that either team, the client or yourself was in danger, then he would be here in my stead. However, as things are, there is no significant threat to any of you that either myself or master's clones could not handle should the need arise," replied Anri. "And who exactly are you? Counsel me about either my team or my mission. All I know about you and that other shinobi is that you have some sort of loyalty to the Leaf." Leveling her gaze on the Leaf, Jonin, Anri smiled in such a way that Kurenai could have sworn that she was seconds away from losing her life. "You're wrong, Kurenai-san. I have no loyalty to the Leaf whatsoever. My loyalty is to my master alone. Beyond that, all you need to know about me is that until my master wills it otherwise, I am your allies and will do everything in my power to protect you and your goals, even if it cost me my life," Anri said as she turned her back on the Leaf Jonin and signaled the group to begin the march back to Tazuna's home. Haku stood next to the spot where Zabuza had died. Nearly 2 hours had passed since he had fled from the woods at First his only thought had been to run to get as far from the land of wave as fast as he could, however he soon realized that even if he could manage to escape Naruto he had nowhere to go. His life, his purpose, his very reason for being were all tied to Zabuza. Without the masked swordsman to guide him he was but a tool without a hand to wield him. Forgive me Zabuza-sama, but I have failed you. I could not save you from death, and I am incapable of killing the one that took your life, Haku remorsefully said in an attempted to make peace with deceased swordsman. So instead you attacked the innocent, Naruto screamed, alerting Haku to his presence as several golden chains burst from the ground and ensnared the masked boy. I only knew Zabuza through battle, but from what I learned of him by crossing swords I know that he was not the kind of man to attack his enemies through their friends, roared the blonde as he lifted Haku into the air and forcefully slammed him into the ground. Yet you, his apprentice, would abandon his teachings for the sake of your own weakness. Naruto's verbal barrage continued as a shadow clone pulled Haku to his feet in order for several others to begin viciously beating him. You claim to want to avenge you, master, but all you have done is brought dishonor and shame to his memory, spoke the vulpine heir as the clones moved away from the beaten boy to afford their creator a better view. Haku moaned in agony, having never felt pain like what he was experiencing now. Each of Naruto's clones had deliberately targeted specific areas in order to inflict minor damage and maximum pain. I know it hurts, but hang in there, won't you? It only get worse from here, Naruto said, nodding to the clones that were helping Haku to stand, dragging the masked boy to a nearby tree. The clones quickly secured him with ninja wire before moving to rejoin their fellow clones and creator. Now we're going to play game the people of my village like to call pincushion, but don't worry, it really easy to play. All you have to do is hold some of my senbon for me. Now I must warn you, they will be a little hot from my clone heating them, but it won't be too bad. However, seeing as you're all tied up and can't use you hands, I'll just have to find some other way for you to hold them for me, Naruto coldly spoke as the first clone launched a burning senbon into Haku's shoulder. What followed was an hour of unrelenting torture for the sole purpose of causing pain. Before it would end, Haku would repeatedly beg Naruto for death, to which the blonde would only increase the amount of pain delivered. Well, I tired of playing pincushion, how about you please no more, Haku struggled to say as a clone cut away the ninja wire, allowing his burned body to fall to the ground. What was that? You want to stop all the fun we've been having? No, there's so much more fun to be had after all. Isn't this what you planned for Hinata? You know, have some fun beating her down before slitting her throat, Naruto said as his eyes flashed crimson and his demonic chakra flared. But then maybe you're right, maybe we have had enough fun for today. Besides, I still have another appointment to get to. Haku breathed a sigh of relief at Naruto's words. Soon all the pain that he had endured for the last few hours would end, and he would once again be at Zabuza's side. Please forgive me, Haku rasped out with a small hope that Naruto would forgive him. Before the end, looking down at the still masked boy, Naruto could only cruelly smile, knowing that his prey believed his end was at hand. Forgive you? Oh no, you have not yet begun to earn my forgiveness. Suddenly a sickening thought entrenched itself in the false hunter's mind. Aren't you going to kill me? Kill you someday I may, but for now it would be a waste to let you skills and bloodline simply fade away, Naruto replied as he leveled his now glowing red eyes upon the boy. What are you going to do it, me? Haku fearfully asked while trying to move his broken body away from his torturer. With a seemingly never-ending smile still on his face, Naruto's hand began to glow with chakra so dark it appeared to be black. When I killed Zabuza, I took his head and his blade. I let you go because you had done nothing to earn my attention. That act of compassion was a mistake on my part, a mistake I intend to rectify today. Kneeling down, Naruto placed his hand on Haku's chest and began to force the dark chakra into the boy's prone body. You used to belong to Zabuza, now you belong to me. Naruto darkly laughed as Haku began to scream from the demonic chakra burning through his system, only to mercifully pass out moments later. Standing, Naruto smirked as he watched the familiar Uzumaki seal appear on the back of Haku's neck. Minori-chan, take him home and inform Tadao-san that he is to be properly trained. I want him ready in a month, as I will have need of him then as you will, Naruto-sama, Minori replied. As she appeared from the tree line, placing a paw on the unconscious boy, the pair vanished in a puff of smoke. Dismissing his clones, Naruto flexed his hand and smiled before moving towards the forest. And now for God, oh damn it, how long are we supposed to just wait here like old women? Kurenai-sensei and Hinata could be in serious shit and we're stuck here doing nothing, Kiba vented as he paced up and down the main room of Tazuna's home. Kiba, Naruto-sensei's orders were clear. We are to wait here and defend Tsunami-san and Inari-san until we receive orders to the contrary. Shino tried to reason with his teammate, turning on the bug user. Kiba snarled in anger, I don't give a fuck what that bastard said to do. Just because he says he's a jonin and Kurenai-sensei for whatever reason believes him doesn't mean that his story is true. Say that you are correct and everything we have been led to believe is a lie. What would you suggest we do about it? Disobey orders and go after our sensei and teammate? leaving Tsunami-san and Inari-san to fend for themselves, because if you're right then the clones that protecting this area are as much a threat as Naruto. I understand your concerns, but the fact remains that for her own reasons Kurenai-sensei chose to share command of this mission with him. As a result, until Shiro Lord Hokage issues orders to the contrary, the members of Team 8 are obligated to follow any orders that he sees fit to issue. Shino calmly replied, ready to continue arguing his point. Kiba was suddenly interrupted by the front door being thrown open by a clone helping Kurenai to stand. Kurenai-sensei, Kiba and Shino yelled together as they moved to help their injured teacher. What happened to you, sensei? Kiba asked before Kurenai raised her hand to halt any further questions. I'll answer all your questions in due time, but for the moment we need to make sure that Hinata and Tazuna-san are properly taking care of the ruby-eyed Jonin. As she and her clone aide moved aside to allow the clone carrying Hinata to pass into the house. Bastard, what did you do to Hinata? Kiba yelled, moving to snatch the girl from the clone, only to suddenly find himself pinned against the wall with Anri's blade pressed against his throat. I would advise you to learn to control your emotions, Inuzuka, because you never know when they might cost you your head. Anri softly spoke as another clone's subtle glance told her to release the boy. And just who the hell do you think you are? Kiba growled in anger as he slipped into his family's signature style of fighting. Enough, Kiba. Kurenai yelled at her student, forcing to stand down before making a mistake. He would be sure to regret. This woman is a member of Naruto Senpai's team, and you will show her the same respect you would show to any shinobi of the Leaf team. How does he have a fucking team? Even you have to see that this is going too far, sensei. I mean, who goes from being the dead last to being a Jonin and having his own team in less than 6 months? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Kiba questioned in aggravation at growing enigma that was Naruto Uzumaki. You know what, Kiba, you're right, it's strange, and I can honestly say that I've never heard of anything like this ever happening before, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened this time. Now for the last time, regardless of how strange it may seem to you, no matter how much you may not want to believe it, for the duration of this mission, Naruto is your superior. You will obey his orders as you would mine. You will show his teammates the same respect you would show to any other Leaf shinobi, because if you don't, I promise you that when this mission is over I will have you sent back to the academy faster than you can blink. Do I make myself clear? Angrily replied the ruby-eyed Jonin while staring directly into the eyes of the feral boy. Yes, sensei, Kiba submissively replied, in the hope of not pushing the elder woman to carry out her threats. Good, now that we have that settled, Tazuna-san, Hinata and myself were all injured during the battle, and even though our injuries have been tended to, we still need to get some rest. Therefore, until Senpai returns, Anri-san will be in charge. You will obey her orders. If she tells me that you even looked as though you were going to disobey her, you will live to regret it. Am I clear? Kurenai said as she slumped in her chair from exertion. Yes, sensei. Shino and Kiba replied, I don't think I'll ever understand you humans, and if it was left to me, I wouldn't left a paw to help any of you. However, my master has asked me to attend you, and until he releases me from that obligation I will do what I can to heal you. So if you would be so kind. Natsumi began before. What the fuck? Where did that fox come from? Why can it talk? Kiba screamed, leaping back from the creature as she rolled her eyes at the boy's stupidity. Please forgive my teammate, he apparently has never been in the presence of a summoned being. Shino apologized for Kiba. Whatever, I don't really care one way or the other about the boy. I only perform my duty so that I can return home as soon as possible, replied the healer as she passed through the room behind the clone carrying Hinata. Looking to Kiba, Kurenai could see that the boy was about to begin another round of questions she either couldn't or wouldn't answer, and decided to cut him off before he could get started. Before you ask, Kiba, Natsumi-san is one of Senpai's summons. From what I know of her, she is a healer, and it is mostly thanks to her abilities that we are as recovered as we are. Beyond that, I don't know anything more about her relationship to Naruto, or how or when he acquired the contract to summon her. When he returns, you can ask him those things yourself. Now with that said, I'm going to rest, Kurenai said, ignoring the still dumbfounded expression on Kiba's face in favor of resting her weary body. Gato wasn't a fool. He realized that with Sabusa and his private army gone, his only way of getting out of his current predicament would be to buy his way out. Not that he saw that as a problem. Being a man of business experience had taught him that anyone could be bought or sold if the price was right. Listen friend, I've got a proposition for you. I'm a very wealthy man and could make it well worth your while if you let me go. Just name your price and it's yours. Money, gold, jewels, land, women, or anything your heart desires, just name it and it's yours. The fat little man offered Saito as the stoic shinobi stared aimlessly out the single window of Gato's office. Hearing no response, Gato casually moved closer, believing that he was being ignored out of fear that the group of identical blondes in the next room might hear their conversation. Excuse me friend, but maybe you didn't hear me. Before I can give you anything, you only have to ask and it's yours in return. All I ask is that you help me out and help me to get Someplace that I'd be safe from that blonde kid. Now I know he's strong and that maybe you're a little afraid of what he might do if he found out you helped me, but think about it, with the wealth I can give you, you could go anywhere in the world or hire the strongest bodyguards. He would never be able to touch you. Gato whispered, confident that Saito would accept his offer, all the while unaware that they were no longer alone. For a moment Saito looked as though he was about to agree when he suddenly turned and bowed towards a smirking Naruto, casually sitting in one of the office's provided chairs. Naruto-sama, are humans so small they would turn on their own for something so meaningless as money? Saito humbly asked. Saito, my friend, greed is one of the hardest vices for man to overcome. For some the simple hope of gain is enough to turn them against their friends. Naruto replied with a smile. I see it as very disturbing to think that man is so easily corrupted, but I suppose that it is simply a part of what it is to be human, replied the stoic man before bowing to his master and leaving Naruto and Gato alone. After that little speech, I suppose offering you anything would be a waste of time, Gato asked while moving to a plush seat behind his large and expensive-looking desk. Obviously, then why am I here? Turning deadly serious, Naruto quickly moved to Gato's side and spun him chair, and also that their faces were only a few inches apart. Why, that's simple, you little turd. I have a slight need for you, but don't go thinking that this is somehow going to buy you some leverage with me. I could just as easily have one of my agents impersonate you to accomplish my goals, so believe me when I say that if you get the slightest bit out of line, then you won't live to regret the mistake. As Naruto spoke, he had begun to leak a relatively small amount of killing intent that was steadily causing the already nervous Gato to grow increasingly frightened of the preteen. What do you want from me? Asked the pudgy little man as Naruto began to smell the distinct scent of piss in the air. Stepping back, Naruto slightly pulled back his intent and smiled. Not much really, you will simply sign over ownership of you business's personal accounts, investments, and or land and property holdings. Any money, jewels, or items of value that you have hidden away, you will disclose their locations. Any information, allies, agents, or other contacts you have within any of the elemental nations, you will disclose. In other words, you will turn over to me any and everything you have of value, after which you will serve as my proxy. That is, you will be told exactly what to do and when to do it. Should you perform the role I've laid out for you, then you will be allowed to live out the remainder of your life in comfort and ease. It will not be as exuberant as you're used to, but it will be far better than most. However, should you ever fail me, should you ever step out line in the slightest, then you will be killed and replaced. Now feel free to take your time and think over my offer. You have 30 seconds to decide, Naruto casually stated, leaving Gato with no real choice in the matter. I accept your terms, the businessman fearfully replied. I expected you would return. Naruto, his black chakra covered his hand, moving faster than Gato could see. Naruto grasped his shoulder, causing the little man to wail out in agony as the stench of burning cloths and flesh filled the room. If you're wondering, I've just placed a seal on you. It binds you to the agreement you just made. Should you violate any part of it, then the seal will kill you. If you try to have the seal removed or altered in any way, it will kill you. If you do anything that goes against our agreement, well, you know now. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask? No? Good, we can move on. Naruto barreled on, really caring if Gato had a questions or not. Snapping his fingers, 3 plums of red, blue, and purple flames appeared, from which trio of stunningly beautiful and elegantly dressed young women crossed into the mortal world. Gato, I want to introduce you to Akia, Aiko, and Aimi. From now on they will be your link to me, therefore consider whatever they tell you as coming directly from me. Oh, by the way, like myself, if you get out of line they will not hesitate to kill you, Naruto said before turning to the newly arrived vixens. Akia-chan, I'm leaving you in charge. Please extract all the information he has to offer. I'm giving you control over the seal's instant kill function until you finished. If you feel that he is being completely forthcoming with you, then summon a mindwalker to rip the information from him before you kill him. By you will, Naruto-sama, Akia replied as she and her sisters bowed to the vulpine air. Gato, Naruto said, gaining the former businessman's attention, I'm not a cruel man and I have every intention of keeping the deal I've made with you. Serve me well and you will have the life I promised. Fail me and you life is over, finished the blonde. While leaving without ever noticing Gato stand and bow to his retreating form, the morning sun broke across the skyline as Kurenai sat silently watching Natsumi as she checked over a soundly asleep Hinata. How is she physically? She is doing well. Her vital signs are strong and her chakra is recovering slowly but surely. At this rate she should be back to full strength in a day or so. However, because of the trauma she suffered, I would suggest that when you return to your village that she see a specialist to ensure that there are no lingering mental effects. It's standard policy in the Leaf after a mission, although not all of our shinobi take advantage of the available help, but I will make sure she sees someone before she returns to duty, Kurenai replied as a knock on the door drew their attention from the Hyuga area. Yes, Kurenai called as she moved towards the door. Excuse me, Kurenai-sensei, but I thought that you'd like to know that the boss is back, replied one of Naruto's clones. Oh, thank You please let him know that we'll be right down, and that I need to speak with him, returned the Leaf Jonin, only to hear a soft puff from the other side of the room's barrier. Naruto stood outside of Tazuna's speaking with Anri and Saito when Kurenai and Natsumi exited the house. Good morning Natsumi-chan, Kurenai-sensei, the blonde greeted the pair. The same to you senpai, Anri-san. Saito-san, I hope that your mission wasn't too difficult. Kurenai replied, it went off without any trouble, so I'm sure that GG will be happy when I give him my report. But enough about such things. Natsumi-chan, how is Hinata-chan? Naruto said, dismissing any other questions that Kurenai might have had about his side mission. She is recovering, my lord. The injuries she received have healed and her chakra is slowly recovering on its own. Given a few days rest she should back to full strength. Good. I was afraid that even after the healing there might have been complications, but if you think that she will be alright, I believe you, Naruto said with a big smile. I assure you, Naruto-sama, there is nothing more to be done except to allow her time to rest and regain her strength. Very well then Natsumi-chan, you are dismissed with my deepest thanks, said the Vulpine. It is my pleasure to serve, my lord. Natsumi returned before she vanished in a small burst of flames. Having remained silent throughout the exchange, Kurenai was about to speak when Naruto held out his arm and a falcon swooped down and graciously landed on the offered perch. Instantly recognizing the bird as one of Konoha's messengers, Naruto passed the avian to Anri before taking the message secured to its leg. Is it from Lord Hokage? Kurenai asked. Yep, it's from GG. I've been ordered to meet up with a couple of Konoha's allies and escort them into the village once things are settled here, and since the only thing left to do here is to guard Tazuna while he finishes his bridge, I'll be on my way, Naruto explained. But what about Gato and the Zabuza's partner? What happened to them? Questioned the ruby-eyed woman. They have both been taken care of, so no worries there. In the next day or so a team will arrive to begin helping Wave to recover. I suggest that you and the others stay clear of them as they are not very fond of the Leaf or its shinobi. Once they've done their job they'll leave. Hell, you may not even notice that they were here, so don't worry about it, the blonde said jovially. But Kurenai began only to be silenced by a stern look from the blonde. I know it seems strange and you probably feel like there's this big huge thing you're missing, and to be honest with you there is, but despite this all you need to know is that everything is as it should be. Lord Hokage is aware of everything that's happening, and I'm sure that if you ask him when you get back to the village. Until then, my last order to you is to complete the mission your team was given. Protect Tazuna until he finishes the bridge and do not interfere or try to interact with the team that will be arriving. I'm telling you this for your own good, Kurenai. From here on out everything that happens in Wave is being watched, recorded, and reported back to the Hokage. If your team disobey my orders there will be consequences. Do I make myself clear? Naruto sternly advised. Although she wanted to desperately argue with the young man before her, Kurenai could not bring herself to question him. Hi senpai, I understand and will obey, she softly spoke while turning to look away. Good, then we'll be off. Naruto returned before dismissing his remaining clones and vanishing with Anri and Saito in a plum of ebony flames before Kurenai could say another word. Several miles from the border to the land of Wave, Naruto reappeared alone, having returned Anri and Saito to their blade forms. Walking slowly down a well-traveled road he passed by a marker that read Tanzaku Town 15 kilometers. Kiriyoshi, attend me, the blonde said, summoning the little fox who appeared moving in stride with his master. How may I serve you, my lord? Inform the others that they may begin phase 2, Naruto said, never taking his eyes from the path ahead. It shall be done, Naruto-sama, Kiriyoshi replied before once again leaving Naruto alone on the road to Tanzaku Town. The months had taken their toll upon the pride of Konoha's last Uchiha. The humiliation of being sent back to the academy had been bad enough, but to have been sent back by the hands of class's worst student had been nearly more than he could take. Still, he had preserved and fought his way back to where he belonged. Congratulations Team 12, you've all passed. Tomorrow we'll meet here at 7, then go together to receive our first mission, the team sensei said before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. Isn't it great, Sasuke? We're finally Jin and Sakura happily screamed as she jumped around much to the dismay of her teammates. Yeah, it's great, Sasuke said as chakra flooded his eyes and a single tomo appeared upon a sea of red. Time skip. Welcome home Team 8 and congratulations on completing your first A-rank mission, warmly spoke the third as Kurenai and her team bowed before him. I have already received Naruto's report but would like yours within the next day or so, after which you will be formally debriefed. Until then, unless there is something pressing, you are dismissed, and I remind you until the debriefing the details of your mission are classified and not to be spoken of. Kurenai, however, I would like you to stay behind. Of course, Hokage-sama, Kurenai replied, somewhat nervous about what the Hokage wanted to speak to her about as she watched her team begin to file out of the office. Excuse me, Hokage-sama, but may I ask a question? Hinata softly spoke, causing her exiting teammates to stop mid-stride while drawing more attention to herself than she was accustomed to. Of course you may, Hinata. What is it you would like to ask? Sarutobi warmly answered. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Could you please tell me If Naruto-kun is in the village, Hinata asked, smiling. At the shy girl's question, the third leaned back in his chair and said, "Yes, he is. He finished his last mission about a week ago and has been on standby since, so you should likely be able to find him at one of the training grounds. But then again, considering that it is around lunchtime, if I were you I would try Ichiraku's if you plan on looking for him now," Sarutobi replied, taking a long draw from his pipe. Bowing deeply, Hinata thanked the third for the information before leaving the office with Shino and Kiba not far behind. "I was not aware that Naruto and Hinata had begun a relationship," questioned Sarutobi as he motioned for Kurenai to sit. "As far as I know, officially they have not, but I have noticed that they have become quite close to one another. Hopefully they will find their way to one another before the dangers of shinobi life forces them apart," replied Sarutobi, allowing himself another smile before his demeanor changed from caring grandfather to village leader. "However, Naruto and Hinata are not why I asked you to stay behind. After reading Naruto's report, I would lying if I said that I was not concerned by both the actions of your team as well as yourself. Now I understand that the fact that it was Naruto that I sent as your backup must have been a surprise, and considering the rank he carried and his mission parameters should have given you cause to wonder, and while I do commend you for submitting to his authority, once you verified my orders, I cannot say that I am as pleased with your lack of ability to control, monitor and discipline your team. Don't misunderstand me on this, Kurenai. I understand that this is your first team and I don't expect you to be absolutely perfect sensei your first time out. However, I do expect you and all of those that have chosen to take a team to strive to ensure that said team is as prepared for the field as they possibly can be," lectured the third while never taking his eyes from the women sitting across from him. "I understand, Hokage-sama," Kurenai replied as she shrunk under the leveling glare of the professor. "I just can't understand you," Hinata Kiba snarled as he and the rest of Team 8 exited the tower. I mean seriously, we haven't been back in the village an hour and you're ready to go chasing after that bastard," Kiba continued. "It's not like that," Hinata tried to explain before Kiba once again interrupted. "Please, I can just bet it isn't, but wait, let me guess how it is. Naruto saved you life and now you just can't wait to tell him how grateful you are, or maybe the fact that you almost died has motivated you. Express your gratitude in a more hands-on manner," Kiba lewdly suggested, causing Hinata to withdraw into herself. "That's enough, Kiba, you have no right to say such things to Hinata-san," Shino said, stepping in between his teammates. "No, it's alright, Shino-san, Kiba isn't completely wrong." Hinata's soft voice came from behind the bug user. "Hinata-san?" Shino questioned, smirking. Kiba crossed his arms as he puffed out his chest in smug superiority. "See, Shino, even she's not going to deny it." "No, I'm not going to deny anything. It's not really a secret to anyone how I feel about Naruto-kun, and yes, I am grateful to him for saving my life, so grateful that if he wanted my body as reward for saving me I would give it to him without hesitation." "But why stop there? The truth is, Kiba, that if Naruto-kun wanted to vey me in the middle of the street, I rip my cloths off, spread my legs and beg him to use me for as long as he liked. But we both know that Naruto would never do anything like that. He would never take advantage of my feelings for him to get some cheap trill or a quick lay. In other words, he would never do the things that you would if your roles were reversed, and that's the real reason you hate him and can't stand the fact that I love him and not you. You just can't grasp that there are men in the world that would treat a woman who would obviously allow him do whatever he wanted to her as something more than a willing toy. After all, that's what you want, isn't it? That's why you keep chasing after me, isn't it? You see my devotion to Naruto and my willingness to do anything he asked of me, and you think that if you can just get me to look at you the way I look at him, then I would be just as willing to please you, that I would suck you dick and spread my legs whenever you wanted, all while begging you for more and making you feel like the big man you image yourself to be. But you're not a big man, you're not a man at all, you're just a little boy who thinks that if you bark loud enough for long enough that someone will see you as something more. That said, and so there are no future misunderstandings between us. You and I will never be together in any way, form or fashion, so go find yourself some willing cunt to gratify your urges, because this is one girl you'll never get top off by." Hinata coolly spoke before turning to leave for the Hyuga compound. "Oh, and one last thing, Inuzuka, feel free to try and carry out the promise you made in Wave. I can assure you that even if you come close to succeeding, it will be the last thing you ever do." As a man seething in anger over what Hinata had said, Kiba's killing intent began rise as he prepared to attack the retreating form of his female teammate. "I'll teach that bitch what a real man can do," Kiba growled, intent on carrying out his threat, only to be stopped by a kunai pressed against his throat. "Kiba-san, I would advise you to go home and calm yourself, otherwise you will force me to do something I would rather not," Shino evenly said. Kiba for a moment considered ignoring Shino's warning, but wisely chose to bid his time. "This isn't over, Shino," Kiba said, allowing Shino to remove the blade from his throat before he and Akamaru stomped away, leaving the bug user to watch them go. "I never thought it would be," Shino said to no one before he too made his way home. Since recovering from her near-death, Hinata had been angry at Haku for defeating her so easily, angry at how useless all her training had been during the battle, angry at herself at being weak, but most of all angry that Naruto, the man she loved, had seen her at her weakest, that he had been forced to save her, that he had called his personal summons to heal and care for her broken body, that he now knew what others had known for years, that she was a worthless failure that would never amount to anything. I see that you have returned from your mission, Hayashi said, forcing Hinata to abandon her self-loathing for the moment and acknowledge his presence. Yes, father, we returned about an hour ago. Lord Hokage informed the council that because of an unforeseen circumstance your mission was upgraded and that it had been necessary to send additional forces to assist you, but did not go into further detail, as the mission was ongoing. However, now that it is concluded, is there anything more you can tell me now, or must I wait for your team's formal debriefing? The clan head asked while noticing that Hinata seemed highly distracted. I'm sorry, father, but Lord Hokage instructed us that we were not to speak about the mission until we had been debriefed, Hinata replied while avoiding her father's eyes. Regardless of the cold, indifferent persona, that Hayashi was not completely without emotion. He did care for his children. It was only like his father before him. Hayashi had come to believe that a clan head must always put the good of the clan before the well-being of any single member, even as that member was one's own child. Hinata, I know that I have never been the ideal father, but I do care for you and Hanabi. I can tell that something is deeply troubling you, and if you would like to talk to me about it, I might be able to help you, Hayashi gently said, motioning his eldest to sit and speak with him. Had it been any other day, Hinata would have never allowed herself to believe that Hayashi could ever care for her in the manner that a typical father might have cared for his child. Years of living under Hayashi's rule had taught her that the man did nothing without first considering how it would best benefit the clan. However, after nearly dying in Wave, after fearing that she had lost her chance with Naruto, and after having to deal with Kiba's almost constant harassment, Hinata's fragile hold on her emotions finally broke. Falling forward and burying her face in her father's chest, Hinata allowed years of emotional turmoil to spill out in a long, nearly inaudible deluge of slurred words and scalding tears. Comforting Hinata as best he could, Hayashi listened to all she had to say until almost an hour passed and exhaustion overtook her. Doing his best not to wake the sleeping girl, Hayashi carried her to her room, where with the ease of a well-practiced parent, and put her to bed, making his was to his private study. Hayashi quickly prepared a scroll before summoning a member of the branch family. Find and deliver this Naruto Uzumaki. You are then to await his answer and return to me immediately. Do you understand? Yes, Hayashi-sama, it will be done at once, replied the servant before quickly taking the scroll and leaving in search of its recipient. With the branch member's departure, Hayashi used his Byakugan to ensure that he was not being observed before opening a concealed compartment within his desk. From the hidden space, Hayashi removed a small box covered in an intricate seal array. Checking once more that he was not being watched, Hayashi nipped his finger and smeared a small amount of blood over the seal, releasing it. Minato, old friend, I hope you can forgive me for what I must do, but if I am to save my clan, I fear I have no choice, Hayashi whispered to himself as he opened the box and peered at the single item contained within. I'm very proud of you, my son. Not only have you gained your fourth tail, but you have taken a major step on the road to becoming a sage. Kurama proudly spoke as Naruto knelt before him. Thank you, father, your words honor me more than you will ever know. However, regardless of how far I have come, there is still much left to do, replied the blonde. As well I know. Tell me, what of the plan? Has Lord Hokage been informed of its progress? Phase 2 is underway, and I have received positive reports from Akiya, Aiko, and Aimi. Their individual projects are close to completion, and our allies will be ready when we are. GG has been told everything, and he says that when Phase 3 begins, he and the others will also be ready. Acquiring Gado's contacts and resources help to increase production and move up our timetable. Assuming that everything remains on schedule and there are no major interruptions, then we should be able to begin Phase 3 within the next 3 months, Naruto explained, while taking his place at the Nine-Tails side. Good, then we should also increase your training in the sage arts in order to complete your training before the completion of Phase 2, said Kurama, bringing a smile to the blonde's face. When do begin, father? Soon, my son, but before we do we must speak of the Hyuga, Kurama said as he shifted his massive form. Yes, Hinata, I have been thinking a great deal about her recently, and I realize that I have come to care a great deal for her, so much that I believe that I have genuinely grown to love her. However, Naruto began, she is weak and would never be accepted by our people as she is, Kurama said, finishing his son's thoughts. Certainly, replied the blonde, but that doesn't change the feelings I have for her. I understand, and it would seem that because of them you have a choice to make, my son. You can either choose to accept the girl as she is and abandon your place with the Vulpine, try to change her so that she would be accepted by our people, or abandon the girl completely and embrace your role with the Vulpine, or more simply, my son, you must choose which is more important to you, your own happiness or the well-being of The clan Kurama explained, allowing Naruto to choose for himself which path his future lay. I would never abandon my family. Naruto roared, outraged at the thought that he would ever place himself before the well-being of his family. Proudly looking upon his son, Kurama acknowledged the blonde's conviction to the Vulpine before saying, if that is how you feel, then you are left with only two options. Either the girl must become stronger and embrace the ways of the Vulpine, or I must cut Hinata Hyuga out of my life forever. Naruto remorsefully finished. I will not advise you on this any further, my son. I trust you to make the correct choice for yourself, but know this, I will support whatever choice you make. Thank you, father. However, Naruto began before quickly turning his attention to the outside world. Excuse me, father, but we are no longer alone on the outside. Go, my son, we will speak again soon, replied the Demon King as he watched Naruto bow and fade away. Opening his eyes, Naruto turned to see a Hyuga messenger tentatively approaching him. Please forgive this intrusion, Uzumaki-sama. I bring a message from Hayashi-sama, said the Hyuga as he quickly knelt with his face to the ground while extending his hand to offer Naruto the scroll that Hayashi had given him. Taking the offered scroll, Naruto turned from the kneeling man and quickly read over its contents before once more turning to face the messenger. Please inform Hayashi-sama that I humbly accept and will promptly attend him on the designated evening, Naruto said, bowing to the messenger who returned it before running off to inform his master. Sasuke, do you really think we should be doing this? Despite everything he did to us, he's still a leaf shinobi, Sakura asked as the duo attempted to stealthily approach training ground 7. It doesn't matter to me if he's a leaf shinobi or not. That bastard has power that he doesn't deserve. Power that should rightfully belong to an Uchiha. To me, I will have that power no matter what, but if you're not committed to helping me like you said you would, then by all means turn back now, because I neither need or want someone by my side that would go back on their word simply because of a minor moral dilemma, Sasuke arrogantly said, knowing exactly how to manipulate Sakura into doing what he wanted. No, I'm with you, Sakura quickly replied, pushing aside her better judgment in order to blindly follow the object of her obsession with Sakura. Back in her place, Sasuke continued forward until the pair had reached the edge of the training ground. There they observed Naruto speaking with someone before the person quickly left the blonde alone upon the field. There he is, look at him standing there like he's something special, but just wait, as soon as he does a jutsu I'll take it for my own, and then I'll show him how a real ninja wields power. Sasuke whispered more to himself than his companion as he activated his Sharingan. Is that so, Uchiha? Naruto calmly said from behind the pair, causing them to lurch forward at the blonde's sudden unnoticed appearance. How did you do that? We were watching the whole time and you never moved, never performed any signs, Sakura stammered as she gaped at the blonde now standing before her. I'd think that you'd be more worried about what I could have just done to you rather than how I got behind you. The two of you are the most pathetic shinobi the Leaf has ever produced, Naruto said, turning away from the pair. How dare you? Sasuke is twice the shinobi you'll ever be. He has the Sharingan, and the Uchiha clan is the most powerful in the village, Sakura screamed, trying to stand up for Sasuke. Shut up, Sakura, I don't need you to defend me, spoke the raven-haired boy before moving to face Naruto. You think I give a fuck about what you think? You think I give a damn about what anyone in the village thinks? I am a Uchiha, an elite. All that you, the Hokage, the council, or anyone else should care about is that I get the things I need to become stronger, because it will be my strength that protects the village in the future, just as it will someday by my children and my children's children, that will ensure that the Leaf continues to be the strongest shinobi village. So be good, little shinobi, and do what is best for the village. Show me your jutsu, Sasuke rebuked the blonde. For a moment Naruto could only stare at the raven-haired boy, not knowing whether he should laugh or kill the arrogant prick. You know something, Sasuke? I've had about all I can take of you and your overinflated sense of superiority. You walk around the village like you are Kami's gift to the world and expect everyone grovel at your passing. When we were in the academy, it was one thing to hear about how great and special you supposedly were, how when you gained the Sharingan you would easily be one of the most powerful in the village, but I'm here to tell you that you were shit before you got the Sharingan, and you're still shit now that you have it. Don't get me wrong though, you have the potential to become one of the greats, and with the Sharingan you have a natural advantage when it comes learning new jutsu, but you seem to have this ideal that learning and being able to use a jutsu are the same thing, and frankly that just isn't true. If you want to truly become strong, then you're going to work for it, because no one will or could ever simply give you strength, Naruto replied as his patience for the last Uchiha slowly crumbled into the dust. You can't talk to Sasuke like that, you're just jealous of Sasuke. He's better than you and you need to show him proper respect, Sakura butted in order to defend her precious Sasuke. If I was you, Sakura, I'd be more worried about myself than him. You might have been the top kunoichi in our class, but that had nothing to do with your actual skills. Compared to the other girls of our year, you were and still are the weakest, returned the blonde, silencing the pink-haired girl. But I'm not so arrogant as to believe that I can't be wrong, so how about I make you a deal? Sasuke, I'll allow you to copy one of my jutsu, and if you can perform it I'll continue to show you jutsu until we get to one you can't perform. When that happens we're done, and you will not ask me to show you another. Do you agree? Naruto asked as he extended his hand, quickly taking the offered hand. Sasuke sneered, as if there's a jutsu that you can perform that I can't. Whatever, now pay attention, because I'm only going to show you the jutsu. Once the Vulpine Air replied as he watched Sasuke activate his Sharingan. Taking a few steps away from Jin and Naruto made sure that Sasuke could see his hands as he began to perform a short set of hand signs before breathing in deeply and calling out fire-style Pillar of Hades. Quickly slamming his hand on the ground, an intense pillar of flames engulfed a nearby tree, instantly turning it to ash. The Pillar of Hades is a B-ranked jutsu which, as you can see, is highly destructive. Naruto explained before stepping back to give Sasuke the chance to perform the jutsu. Please, this will be easy, Sasuke replied as he began to repeat the hand signs that Naruto had used before. Fire-style Pillar of Hades, Sasuke called out smirkingly as he repeated Naruto by slamming his hand to the ground. Nothing happened, Sakura said, stating the obvious. I don't understand, why didn't it work? I did everything you did, Sasuke screamed, turning on Naruto. I told you that it was a B-ranked jutsu. It didn't work for you because you neither have the chakra or the control to perform it. Which is exactly why I showed it to you. Given time and training you will be able to perform it and other higher level jutsu, but right now you are nowhere near strong enough. Now I've honored our deal and I'm done. Hopefully you've learned something today and can expand on it. However, if you haven't I could care less, Naruto said as he turned, intending to walk away. No, this isn't over, bastard, Sasuke screamed as he launched himself forward, intending to attack the blonde from behind. Easily sensing Sasuke's movements, Naruto quickly turned and caught the raven-haired boy mid-air before slamming him into the ground. Sasuke, Sakura screamed out as she for the second time in recent months watched as Sasuke was easily handled by the blonde standing over the downed Uchiha. Naruto lifted the boy from the body-shaped crater he had just used him to create before beginning to beat Sasuke to a bloody pulp. Who the fuck do you think you are? You come here and demand that I just give you my secrets. We make a bet, and when you lose, rather than accept that loss like a man, you dare to attack me to try and get your way. Naruto screamed into Sasuke's bloodied face as he continued to beat the boy. Stop it, you're killing him, Sakura screamed as she ran and grabbed a hold of Naruto's arm to prevent him from striking Sasuke again, only to be flicked off like bug. Killing him would be the kindest thing I could do, Naruto harshly whispered as he leveled crimson eyes upon the down girl, scaring her to the point that her bladder let loose. But I've got other plans for him, the blonde said as he tossed the barely conscious boy towards Sakura, moving faster than Naruto had ever seen her move. Sakura pulled Sasuke into her arms while drawing a kunai from her pouch in what could best be described as some deluded attempt to protect him, and Naruto finished while moving towards the pair as black chakra covered his hands. Timeskip. The reality of any shinobi village is that it cannot survive on the backs of its shinobi alone. Like any complex organism, for the village to survive and grow, its individual parts must work together for the betterment of the whole. Farmers, merchants, artisans, craftsmen, and countless others therefore must use their skills to provide the necessities of life for those parts of society that cannot provide them for themselves. However, like any complex organism, the reality of society is that the give and take of life is not always as balanced as it ideally should be, not because one group is better than another, but because for society to survive, a social order must be established that places the members of that society into a hierarchy of value. In other words, the farmer may be equal to the merchant in terms of individuality, but because the farmer only produces food for society while the merchant provides a wide variety of goods and services, the merchant is deemed to be of greater value. Thus the merchant is extended privileges that place him above the farmer in social standing. This artificial social hierarchy thus results in the development of skewed societal values, where an individual or group is deemed to be better than another simply because they are able to provide something that society has determined is of greater value than what others may provide. The end result being the rise of social classes where standing is determined not by merit but by celebrity and per existing societal ideology. With the founding of Konohagakure during the First Shinobi War, the shinobi clans assumed the uppermost tier of the established social ladder, as they were ones responsible for protecting the village's non-shinobi inhabitants. Thus the bulk of the village's available resources were shared among the clans, under the presumption that it was what was needed if the fledgling society was to survive. However, with the end of the war came peace, and the role of the shinobi clans diminished while the role of the merchant class expanded. With the emphasis of society no longer focused on supporting the war effort, merchants were able to broaden their trade and begin to import and export items that during the war would have been seen as unnecessary luxuries. This expansion of trade signified the move of the merchant class to a higher social standing, allowing many in that class to begin to have a voice in still developing village government. Yet even with the increased Importance of the merchant class. The shinobi clans would still occupy the highest most echelon of society, however the second and third shinobi wars would serve as springboards to increase the social standing and political power of the merchant class and ultimately lead to the creation of the Council of Konohagakure created by Tobarama Senju during his reign as second Hokage. The Council of Konohagakure was envisioned as a means to provide a voice to each concerned group within the village, structured so that each group would be allowed to offer ideals and opinions on how the village was organized and governed. Tobarama devised a scheme by which the council was divided into two main parts. The civilian council would be responsible for bringing the concerns of the civilian populace to the attention of the governing body as well as overseeing the development and expansion of the village as a whole, provided that such plans meet with the approval of the full village council. The shinobi council was to deal with the military aspects of the village entrusted with seeing to the needs of village's shinobi as a whole, along with the formation and maintenance of the village's police force and the creation, staffing and curriculum of the shinobi academy, again provided of course that any proposed measures were approved by the full council. Representatives to the shinobi council would be the reigning clan heads from each of the village's major clans, along with one representative for every 5 minor clans and 1 representative for every 1,000 shinobi not affiliated with a clan. The minor and non-clan representatives would be appointed by the Hokage once every 4 years. Representatives to the civilian council would be voted into office by a majority vote of the district they represented once every 2-year. District boundaries would be determined by the full council once every 4 years, with the number of total districts never to exceed the number of members of the shinobi council, thus ensuring that both the civilian and shinobi councils would always have equal representation. Neither the representatives of the civilian or shinobi councils could do anything without the approval of the full council, to which end anything either side wanted to accomplish would need to brought before the entire council to be reviewed, debated and voted on with a majority vote, either in favor of or against carrying the motion. However, defeated motions could be resubmitted to the council every 2 months for 1 year, provided that the motion at the time of its defeat had gained at least a third of the total available votes. Under this system, Tobarama would allow the people of Konohagakure to determine the future of their home. However, this by no means diminished the power of the Hokage. Regardless of any measures passed by the council, final say remained in the hands of the reigning fire shadow. Alas, as someone once said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Tobarama's vision for Konohagakure's council would eventually be forced to give way to the demands of the times. With the start of the Third Shinobi War, the representatives of the shinobi clans found little time to attend council meetings in order to oversee the needs of the village, regardless of the fact that the needs of the village still needed to be met. Thus the then Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi extended emergency powers to the civilian representatives, granting them the authority to enact those policies that were deemed best for the village. Unfortunately, after having tasted power, the civilian council all but refused to return to the model that Tobarama had created. Instead, a compromise was reached. The civilian council would be allowed 1 additional vote and representatives would be chosen every 4 years rather than every 2, provided that nothing else about how the council operated changed. This new system would allow the civilian side to pass far more proposals than before, provided that they could gain the support of at least 1 member of the shinobi council, and that the measure was not so outlandish that the Hokage would see fit to exercise his power to outright dismiss it. I've honored our bargain, Sasuke, and allowed you to copy one of my jutsu because you failed to perform it properly. The terms of our deal have been satisfied, and as agreed you will never again ask me to show you another Naruto, said before turning to walk away. History teaches that ambition, pride and arrogance, when combined, can lead a person to do injustice not only to others but to himself. That once this combination has misled him into a sense of invincibility, he could embark down the dark path of aggression, committing the most heinous of acts, all in the belief that he is always in the right and that there is no one better than himself. Unfortunately for Sasuke Uchiha, this was a lesson he never learned. Where do you think you're going, dead last? This isn't over until I say it, is Sasuke arrogantly said before rushing towards the departing blonde, foolishly believing that he could force Naruto to do what he wanted without turning to face his would-be attacker. Naruto whispered and snare, instantly causing several chakra chains to burst from the ground, capture and hold Sasuke in place. Who do you think you are? We made a deal and you lost. Do you honestly think attacking me will change that fact? Naruto questioned, pushing down his swelling anger as he turned on the ensnared boy. I don't need to think, I know that I am a Uchiha and an elite of the village. That means that what I say goes. All that you should be concerned about is helping to ensure that I get stronger, Sasuke angrily replied, focusing his Sharingan on the angered yet amused blonde. Put Sasuke down and do what he tells you to, or I'll tell my mother and she'll see to it that you're punished for being disobedient to your betters. Sakura decided to add, trying to intimidate Naruto. Looking towards Sakura, Naruto allowed a small feral grin to grace his lips, causing the girl to involuntarily take several steps backwards. "You want me to put Sasuke down, Sakura?" "Alright, I'll put him down," Naruto calmly said as the last of his patiences for the duo gave way to his anger. Grabbing Sasuke by the neck, Naruto's chains instantly vanished, allowing the blonde to freely and brutally slam the raven-haired boy into the ground. "Is this what you wanted, Sakura? Or should I put him down again?" Naruto asked his one-time teammate, while lifting Sasuke and slamming him once again into the ground. "Stop it, you're killing him," Sakura screamed as she rushed forward and wrapped herself around Naruto's arm to try and prevent him from further harming her beloved Uchiha. Undeterred by Sakura's actions, Naruto allowed Sasuke to slip from his grasp just long enough to take hold of Sakura and fling her several feet across the training ground. "Killing him would be the kindest thing I could do," Naruto harshly whispered as he leveled crimson eyes upon the down girl, scarring her to the point that she temporarily lost control of her bladder. "But I've got other plans for him," continued the Vulpine heir as he lifted Sasuke and threw him towards Sakura. Moving faster than Naruto had ever seen her move, Sakura pulled Sasuke into her arms and drew a kunai from her pouch in what could best be described as a deluded attempt to protect him. "And you," Naruto finished before he began to slowly stalk towards the pair as black chakra began cover his hands, only to be halted by a hand gently coming to rest on his shoulder. "That's enough, Naruto. I think you've proven your point. Besides, Lord Hokage has another mission for us, and those two don't look like they could take much more," Kakashi said, fully appearing beside his superordinate. "Very well, Kakashi-sensei," replied Naruto as his eyes instantly reverted back to their normal blue and the ominous chakra around his hands faded away. "Go on ahead to the tower and I'll catch up with you in a moment," the leader of Team Kakashi said with a sense of authority, leaving no room for debate. Having submitted to Kakashi's authority as his leader, Naruto quickly bowed and vanished in a burst of flames, but not before glancing at the would-be Avenger and his pet a final time. "You're just going to let him go after what he did to Sasuke?" Sakura protested as she did her best to tend to the object of her obsession. "Please, if Naruto had really wanted to hurt either of you, I can promise you that there wouldn't have been a damn thing I could have done to stop him. No, this was just a friendly warning on his part, one that I hope that both of you understand and take to heart," the copy ninja honestly said, turning to leave. "Despite what you might believe about him, Naruto isn't your enemy. The fact that he didn't just destroy you both is proof of that. If this is what he does to someone he respects, I don't want to know what he does to someone he hates," Sakura mumbled as she shifted Sasuke into a more comfortable position. Smiling under his mask, Kakashi decided to leave the girl with a final bit of advice in regards to his blonde student. The only reason that Naruto responded to Sasuke the way he did was because of Sasuke's attitude. If either Sasuke or yourself truly wish to learn from Naruto, the way to do so isn't to try to threaten or force him, but to swallow your pride and respectfully ask him for help, Kakashi finished before vanishing in swirl of leaves. "A wise man once cautioned that if you stare too long into the abyss, then the abyss will in time stare back through you." Staring at her reflection, Hinata understood that simple bit of wisdom to be all too true. "Is there anything the matter, Hinata-sama? You seem distracted," Asa softly asked as she helped assist Hinata dress for dinner. "Wrong? I suppose that depends on how you would define the term," Hinata softly replied. "Forgive me, my lady, but I'm not sure I understand what you mean," Asa returned, not really sure how to respond to Hinata's cryptic words. Offer her attendants a small smile. Hinata knew that she could speak openly among them despite the fact that they were considered to be servants, and beneath her Hinata had long ago forged a true friendship with each of the women and knew without a shadow of doubt that anything she shared with them would never be used against her. "For some time my place in the clan has been teetering on a perilous cliff. Many of the elders have openly stated that they are in favor of my being removed as clan heir in favor of Hanabi, as they feel that I am too weak to lead the clan in the future, and were it not for a small number that support me, I believe that they would have succeeded in their petition some time ago," Hinata explained as her attendants intently listened. "Has something changed, Hinata-sama?" Asa cautiously asked, turning to look away from the others. Hinata's sight landed on a small bird perched on her windowsill. "A week ago, the details of my team's recent mission to the Land of Wave was released to all the concerned clans. Contained within that report are detailed explanations concerning the events of the mission as well as the performance of all team members. My performance on the mission having been less than exemplary has renewed the argument that I am not fit to continue representing the clan as its heir, and caused what little support I had among the elders to diminish to the point that those in favor of my removal may now be able to force the issue, disturbed by what they had been told." Hinata's attendants were at a loss as to what, if anything, they could say to comfort their friend. "What of Lord Hayashi? Is there nothing that he can do?" Asa asked after a few moments, slightly shaking her head in the negative. Hinata turned her eyes back to the concerned faces of the others. "As leader of the clan, my father cannot show favoritism, and although he is personally outraged by the actions of the elders, he has no choice but to receive their counsel and do what is best for the clan. So unless Something happens to instantly elevate my standing and value in the eyes of the elders. In a very short time I will be stripped of my title as clan heir in favor of my sister. Stepping through the main gates of the Hyuga compound, Naruto could not help but feel that whatever happened in the next few hours would monumentally change his world forever. Not that he was overly concerned with such a premonition, considering that any change would simply be one more twist in his already overcomplicated life. Welcome to Hyuga Estate, Naruto-san. My name is Kosh and I will be your attendant for the evening. Should you require anything, just simply ask myself or one of the other attendants and we will strive to honor your request, greeted Kosh as he bowed deeply towards the Vulpine heir. Thank you, Kosh-san, Naruto replied, returning the older man's bow. Hayashi-sama wishes to meet with you before dinner concerning a private matter. If you will follow me, I will show you the way, informed the attendant as he moved to guide Naruto to the waiting clan head. Arriving at their destination, Naruto did not have to wait long before he was greeted by the Hyuga Lord. Naruto-san, allow me to welcome you to my home. Hayashi addressed the teen with a slight bow. You honor me with your invitation, Hayashi-sama. Words alone can never express my gratitude for such a privilege, Naruto replied, retuning Hayashi's bow, pleased that his young guest was not a stranger to proper etiquette. Hayashi motioned for Naruto to be seated. May I offer you a cup of tea? Asked the clan head, lifting the steaming pot to pour himself a cup. Thank you, please. Filling 2 cups, Hayashi passed one to Naruto before taking his own and seating himself behind his desk. Naruto-san, I will not insult you by dancing around the chief reason I have asked you here today. I believe that Hinata has told you of my concerns about several rumors that have been circulating about the nature of you relationship. Hayashi began setting his tea aside and focusing his attention on the blonde before him. Yes, Hayashi-sama, Hinata has told me of your concerns and allow me to put any worries you have at rest. My relationship with Hinata-chan is that of a friend and sensei. I will not, however, deny that of late my feelings for her have been developing into something more, but I swear to you that I would never act on those feelings without first seeking your approval, Naruto replied, further entrenching himself into the clan head's good graces. Locking his gaze on the teen, Hayashi appeared to be examining each of Naruto's words as though searching for any hidden deception. I have never doubted your intentions or honor, Naruto-san. Unlike others, I chose not to judge a book simply by its cover, Hayashi replied, taking a sip from his cup. Your trust honors me, Hayashi-sama. Waving off Naruto's reply, Hayashi's eyes softened for a moment before he turned his attention to a picture on his desk. While you are here, Naruto-san, there is another matter I would like to discuss with you, continued the clan head as he took a small box from his desk that Naruto instantly recognized as being the same as one he had found hidden away in his parents' former home. Pardon my interruption, Hayashi-sama, but before you begin I believe that it would be prudent to ensure that what is said remains between us alone, said the Vulpine heir as he stood and quickly performed several signs before saying secret art, cone of silence, and slamming his hand to the ground with the passing of the last syllable. An intricate seal array spread out from his hand that covered the walls of the room before flashing and fading from existence. Watching Naruto weave such a powerful jutsu, Hayashi was taken back to a time not so long ago when he would watch his dearest friend train himself in the art of Fuin Jutsu. Minato, old friend, I have no doubt that you would be proud of the man your son has become. I can only hope that when the time comes and we meet again that you will forgive me for not doing more to support him over the years. Hayashi silently prayed to the spirit of his fallen friend. We may now speak without fear of being seen or heard, said the blonde, assuring the clan head, very well, what I wish to speak to you about is a matter that concerns yourself and my daughters. Hayashi began, much to Naruto's curiosity. As you most likely know, your father was an orphan who was found during the closing days of the Second Shinobi War, and your mother was the heir to Uzumaki clan as well as the granddaughter of the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. I first met your father while attending the academy. I cannot say that we were immediate friends, but over the years a true and meaningful friendship did grow between us, so much so that when it was discovered that both your mother and my wife were with child, a joining of our two families seemed ideal and we immediately created a contract to that effect. However, when we presented the contract to our wives, they did not immediately see the situation as we did. Don't misunderstand, they were in favor of joining our houses, as were the elders of my clan. After all, with your father having been named Hokage and your mother coming from such a prestigious family, the political implications were ideal. That is, of course, except for the fact that neither Kushina or Hattori would accept a contract that would in essence force their unborn children to marry one another. I will never forget how Minato and I argued for days trying to convince them that it was for the best, only to have them steadfastly refuse to have any part of it. Honestly, after a week of trying, I thought the entire thing a lost cause and told your father so. However, it was then that he devised a solution that Kushina and Hattori would ultimately accept. You see, their chief objection was the marriage contract because it did not give the children a choice in the union. In order to get around this, your father suggested a betrothal contract in place of a marriage contract. Under the betrothal contract our children would not be forced to wed, but in the case that they did, the responsibilities of each family would already be spelled out. Also, it was determined that the contract would be written in such a way that it did not specify in the case of multiple children being produced which children it would apply to. Hayashi explained, so the contract you and my father created could apply to myself and either of your daughters. Question: the Vulpine heir correct? Hayashi replied, Minato and I wanted our children to be happy and for our houses to be united. Kushina and Hattori wanted their children to simply be happy. The betrothal contract allowed for both possibilities while ensuring that our children would not be locked into a loveless union. I understand the concerns of your wife and my mother and applaud your and my father's rather unique way of dealing with the problem, but I don't understand why you are telling me this. I can only assume that you have some ideal of invoking the old contract between our houses, even though I know that that cannot be your intentions, as it would no longer benefit you clan to be allied with me considering my current standing in the village. Naruto reasoned, and it was true. Even though he had learned of Hayashi and his father's intentions, Naruto had never imagined that the Hyuga would ever try to enforce it. He was after all the demon child of Konohagakure, the slayer of women and children. The devil fox in human flesh. Should noble clans such as the Hyuga ever willing align themselves with someone like himself, it would instantly destroy any and all political and social standing the clan had. Unfortunately, your assumptions are correct. Should a union between yourself and the Hyuga occur now, it would be disastrous for my clan. However, that fact does not change the fact that the contract exists, nor does it negate the fact that you and Hinata love one another. Hayashi replied in such a way that made Naruto realize that whatever the Hyuga Lord had up his sleeve had been planned out to the uttermost detail. I am sure that you are aware of the way myself and the Hyuga are portrayed in the village. We are considered to be cold, hard, and unfeeling. The people look to us and see the ideal of what a noble clan should be. They believe us to be the most elite and powerful of all of Konohagakure's clans. To the outside, the Hyuga are second only to the Uchiha in prestige and honor, but what is portrayed to outsiders is only a shadow of what we really are. The Hyuga is a dying clan, and our leadership refuses to accept the fact that in order for the clan to survive, that it must change. As clan head, I have done everything I can to hold the fragmented pieces of the clan together while setting the groundwork for my successor to do accomplish what I cannot. Hayashi said as he removed the betrothal contract from its box and passed it to Naruto. Hinata is the key to saving the Hyuga clan. She alone has somehow avoided the curse of undue pride and arrogance that all Hyuga seem to suffer from, yet all the while managing to earn the favor of almost every Hyuga except the majority of the Elder Council. Through her, the Hyuga could be reunited as one family instead of the divided one we are now. However, if the elders have their way, this will never happen. They recognize Hinata for what she is and they fear her. For years, they have worked to strip of her position as clan heir and name Hanabi in her stead. The only thing that has prevented this is a small group of elders that believe as I do, and the fact that a daughter of the clan head is not allowed to create a branch family in the clan. But something has changed, Naruto remarked, causing Hayashi to nod in agreement. As you know, a week ago yourself and Hinata's team was debriefed about their mission to the land of Wave. As is tradition, a full report was given to those clans whose member were involved in the mission. Normally such an event would be a routine matter of paperwork, but because the elders have been looking for any reason to demand that Hinata be passed over as my successor, any mission she is involved in is highly scrutinized. Based on that report, Hinata's performance was less than exemplary, and the fact that she almost died has given the elders the leverage to once again call for removal as heir. Hayashi replied, despite being as weak as she is, Hinata performed as well as the other genin on her team. The fact that a genin team should have never been on that mission and they survived it is a testament to how well they performed. Besides, I have seen her potential and determination, and given time along with proper training, Hinata will grow stronger. Naruto praised the elders don't see it that way. As heir to the clan, they believe that Hinata should be stronger than she is. They don't care that she is a genin with little to no real world experience as a shinobi. It also didn't help that based on that same report, you're joining Team 8 mid mission is considered the only reason the mission succeeded. What do I have to do with anything? Naruto questioned. You're a genin, Naruto-san. The belief that if a genin who is not a member of a clan can engage and defeat an A-class Rouge shinobi, then so should the heir to the esteemed Hyuga clan. Hayashi replied, upset by the stupidity of the Hyuga elders. With all due respect, I am hardly the model for judging another genin's level of skill, and that is what I tried to explain to them, but they were resolute in their opinion, said Hayashi. So Hinata will be removed as heir and any hope of saving your clan will be lost, Naruto stated, earning a nod from the clan head. It is a shame, Hayashi-sama, but I still don't understand why this situation would lead you to invoke the contract. Simple, Naruto-san, it is a little no fact, but the position of clan head is not required to be passed down within a family line. The current clan head has the right to choose whoever he feels is the best choice to hold the position. For example, my great-great-grandfather was not a Hyuga and was not from any clan at all. He married my great-great-grandmother who had no brothers. In those days a female could not assume the position of clan head, and because her father deemed that there was no one more fit to lead the clan before he passed, he named my great-great-grandfather as his successor. I believe Hinata is the best choice to lead the clan, but the elders refuse to accept this. They see her as weak and completely Hyuga-like, and although the final decision rests with me, I cannot go completely against the wishes of the elders. After all, I do see their point. A strong leader will be able to accomplish so much more than a weak one, and there's where you and the betrothal contract come into play. If you and Hinata were to marry, then I could name you as my successor. The elders, by their own admission, cannot deny your strength as a leader, nor can they argue that you have the pedigree that they would routinely demand of any suitor from my daughter's hand. After all, they did approve the betrothal contract when it was first proposed 13 years ago. Hayashi explained to the now dumbstruck Naruto, the fact that you seem serious about this scares me. There's no way that your plan would ever work for two very simple reasons, said the blonde as he leveled his eyes upon the clan head. Oh, and what may they be, Naruto-san? First, your entire plan seems to depend on who my parents were, and that will somehow negate the village's opinion of me and the being I hold, and second, that I would ever go along with such a ridiculous plan in the first place. Naruto coldly answered the man beside him. I don't. Hayashi began, only to be silenced by Naruto quickly standing and beginning to pace about the room. Seriously, did you honestly think that I would come here listen to you tell me about how you and my parents hope to join our families, and how this would not only somehow benefit myself and Hinata, and I would just go along with it? Don't get me wrong, Hayashi-sama, I feel sorry for your clan. I feel even worse that Hinata is going to be hurt by the situation, and if I could, I would do anything I could to help her and you, but you must understand that I have responsibilities of my own and cannot and will not simply abandon them for the sake of your family and the memory of parents I have never known. If things were different, if Hinata wasn't as weak as she is, then I might be able to help you. I might be able to embrace my love for her and accept her. Unfortunately, as things stand, I could never be with her, the Vulpine heir harshly explained, to the disappointment of both Hayashi and himself. I see and must apologize for wasting your time. I never considered that you might have commitments to such a degree, replied the clan head as he took back and returned the contract to its former resting place. If your need was immediate, then things might be different. Hearing this, Hayashi felt hope raise its battered head within his heart. How much time could you give me, Naruto-san, and what terms would need to be met for you to consider my request? Hayashi said, forgetting his pride as the head of the Hyuga, truly wanting to help the father of the woman he loved. Naruto quickly sought Kurama's counsel on the matter. In 3 months' time the Chunin exams will begin. Before the start of the final rounds, I plan on revealing my heritage to the entire village. If by that time Hinata can show that she has grown stronger and will strive to continue to do so, then I will accept her and your offer, assuming of course that after I reveal the truth about myself you still wish to offer it. Naruto offered the best terms he could. 3 months is not a long time, but it will have to do. Hayashi agreed. One last thing, Hayashi-sama, you will need to explain everything we have discussed to Hinata, and she must willingly agree to the terms that have been set. You must not, however, tell her anything about my parents or Kyubi. Should she agree, then she is to meet me at Training Ground 7 at 5 tomorrow morning. For this to have any chance of success, then she will need to be trained by someone that has no personal stake in her success or failure, said the blonde. Agreed, I will tell her everything after dinner tonight, Hayashi confirmed, bowing towards the blonde, who readily returned it. Then unless there is something more, I will take my leave. I don't think it would do for me to remain for dinner and give either Hinata or the clan elders any inkling that something unusual might be in the works, Naruto said before releasing the cone of silence. If you feel that would be best, Naruto-san, I understand, and regardless of what happens in the future, I want to thank you everything you are willing to do for the sake of my clan, Hayashi said as he walked Naruto towards the main gates. I'm not doing this just for you, clan Hayashi-sama. I truly love your daughter and would be honored to be her husband. If our endeavor succeeds, then we will both get them things we desire, returned Naruto as he offered the clan head a final bow before vanishing. A burst of crimson flames. The sun was just beginning to break over Hokage Mountain as Hinata raced towards Training Ground 7. After speaking with her father at length about his plan to change their family and Naruto's proposed involvement, she had wholeheartedly agreed to the terms that had been set, not only for the possibility of winning Naruto's heart, but for finally ending the enforced servitude of half her family. Of course, she realized that the chance of success was slim. After all, she held no fanciful illusions about herself. She knew she was weak and not worthy of either her position as clan heir or the chance she was being offered of possibly becoming Naruto's wife. In truth, she had often wondered why she had been allowed to remain heir for as long as she had it obvious to her that Hanabi was a far better candidate for the position, and if it was obvious to her, then it had to be so for everyone else. Still, she would not allow such an opportunity to make her wildest dreams simply slip through her fingers. If she failed, it would not be because she didn't try. No, she would do everything in her power to try to change and give credence to the newfound faith that her father and Naruto had placed in her. Good morning, Hinata-chan. I assume that the reason you're here is because you've agreed to the terms of the agreement between myself and your father. Naruto calmly spoke from atop one of the 3 logs embedded in the field. Taking a calming breath, Hinata locked her focus on the boy who had occupied her dearest dreams since she was 5. Yes, Naruto-kun, I'm ready to do my best to live up to your expectations, Hinata said with conviction, never seeing the disappointment her words had caused across the blonde's face. Very well, for the next 3 months you will be trained by one of my allies, and it will be him that will determine if you pass or fail. As a condition of your training, you and I will have no contact for the next 3 months. Should you succeed, then I will come to you at the start of the 3rd round of the Chunin exams. However, should you give up or fail, then we will likely never see one another again. With that said, do you still want to continue? Naruto asked. Hinata had known that the stakes were high when she agreed to participate in her father's plan, but she had never imagined that failure would mean never seeing her beloved Naruto again. Still, when she thought about it, if she backed out now, not only would she have failed her family but also lost any chance of being with Naruto in the future, while at the same going through the training meant that there was the chance she could gain everything she ever wanted. In the end, the choice was simple. There was no way she was going to back down. Come hell or high water, she would do anything in her power. The chance of making her dreams come true. I understand and accept the conditions, Naruto-kun, and will do my best to make you and father proud of me, Hinata said with as much confidence as she could muster, seeing that she was not going to back down. Naruto smiled at her determination. Very well, we shall now begin. Hinata Hyuga, daughter of Hayashi and Hattori Hyuga, you will now forget all that you have ever believed to be true. For the next 3 months you will be taught to breath, to walk, to run, and to swim. You will learn to live, to fight, and to die. You may leave the training at any time you wish, with the knowledge that by doing so you never be allowed to the path now laid out before you. Do you understand? Naruto said as his eyes shifted from blue to red. Yes, Hinata replied, confused by Naruto's repeatedly asking her if she was sure she wanted to continue, but positive that she did so. Be it, turn and face your master, returned the vulpine air as his form was engulfed by flames, and he vanished from the field. Turning to meet her new teacher, Hinata was prepared for almost anything, but when lavender eyes met brown, her only response was fall to her knees and soak the ground with piss as a single word tumbled from her trembling lips. Haku.